Yeah. So, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this webinar on compliance assessment and what the TEF agri-food program can offer in this area. Before we start looking at our offer, it's important to ask ourselves what regulation, guidelines, and standards are in force. We won't go through them all because that will take hours, but we will quickly mention the most important ones. First, I will let Johan present the machine regulation.
Yes, thank you very much. Then I start with, I have focused on those parts of the machinery regulation where there are changes mainly related to autonomous aspects and AI functionality. So first we look into an example where there isn't that much changes. We have a more traditional safety function. It can be to a robot, for instance. You have an interlocking door. And in this case, you have a low complexity input, this interlock, and there you don't have any new requirements, for instance, when it comes to AI functionality, and we don't have any data communication. So this is a local safety function. And then we can go to the next picture. Here is another example where we have an autonomous vehicle in some kind of storage system. Here we still have a low complexity safety bumper. So in this case, we don't have any new requirements related to AI. But in this case, we definitely have a radio and data communication between this autonomous vehicle and some kind of control system. So here, definitely we need to take into consideration new requirements in the machinery regulation related to cybersecurity. And then if we go to the next one, we have a more specific example from the agriculture sector, where we have maybe some kind of camera system to detect that the person is about to be run over. And this is really an example where very many of these new requirements needs to be taken into consideration, because we have AI functionality in this camera. So it's possible for the camera to detect that the person is about to be run over, and we have cybersecurity aspects, so you can trust the communication between the user and the autonomous machinery. Then we can, this is a short description of the changes in a very important requirement in the machinery regulation, and it's called the same also in the old machinery directive. It's in Appendix 3, and it's chapter 1.2.1. It's called Safety and Reliability of Control Systems. And here we have some requirements that we saw already in the machinery directive, but they have been extended, so they also include cybersecurity aspects. We have some completely new requirements related to cybersecurity, and we also see new requirements related to AI, and it's something called self-developing behavior that is specifically mentioned in this chapter. I think, yes, this is also a very important summary that today we have EN ISO 13849, the latest version released in 2023, and we have the parallel standard EN IEC 62061 from 2021 with an amendment from 2024. And what I would like to say is that, as I see it, it will be very tight for the standardization industry before the machinery regulation comes into place in January 2027 to develop new functional safety standards. So when it comes to functional safety, my best guess is what you can do today is to follow the latest version of either of these two standards. That's the best you can do for the moment. But of course, when it comes to cybersecurity and AI, we need to see a development of standards during 2026. But they will not be, extensions of 13849 or 62061. Yes, I think we can take. Yes, then we go into some new requirements more related to mobile machinery. So we can go to the next picture again. And here we see some new definitions that was not included in the machinery directive. We talk about something called autonomous mobile machinery, and that's a mobile machinery that by its own has all the safety functions built in. So it's not necessary that the person all the time is in place and controlling the machinery. It guarantees its safety by itself, but still you have a requirement in the machinery regulation that you shall have some kind of supervisor, but this person doesn't need to be in place all the time. But if something dangerous is happening with the autonomous machinery and it goes into a safe state, it's important that this information is given to the supervisor, this person. And also related to this, they talk about something called a supervisory function, and that is this function that has the possibility to interact between the autonomous mobile machinery and the user, the supervisor. So I think that was all for me, Regnier.
Okay, so I will make a brief overview of what the AI Act is and why it matters to us. So, the AI Act is the first comprehensive regulation on artificial intelligence in Europe and in the world. Its main goal is not to slow down innovation, but to make sure that AI is developed and used in a safe, ethical, and responsible way. So, the EU wants AI to be human-centric and trustworthy. That means AI should support people, not replace responsibility, and not put fundamental right at risk. One of the most important ideas behind the Act is the risk-based approach. So not all AI systems are treated the same. Some use of AI are considered too dangerous and therefore completely banned. Others, especially in sensitive areas like healthcare, education, or recruitment, are highly regulated. Lower risk system only require transparency and not special rules at all. So the AI Act also has an extended scope. It does not only apply to European companies. Any provider offering AI services within the EU must follow these rules, even if the company is based outside Europe. Another key principle is transparency. A company must clearly document how their AI system work, what data they use, and how risks are managed. And finally, governance is reinforced through cooperation between national authorities to ensure consistent apply across Europe. So the final step of adoption, including Annex 1 high-risk system that includes machinery, is planned for August 2027. Although some delays are possible due to standardization issues. So let's focus on what the AI Act requires for high-risk AI system. If AI system is classified as risk, it means it could significantly affect people's life, rights, safety, or access to essential services. To be allowed on the European market, this system must meet several compliance criteria. First, there is the C conformity marking. This means company must prepare complete technical documentation and in some cases have their system assessed by an external authority called a notified body. Some risk management is mandatory. Company must identify potential risk, evaluate the impact, implement mitigation strategies. Third, data governance is crucial. Training and testing data must be relevant, representative, and free from major error and bias. Another major requirement is performance and cybersecurity. High-risk AI system must be accurate, robust, secure, and reliable, even in unexpected situation. And finally, company must ensure process control from the development to testing and continuous monitoring after deployment. So, in summary, high-risk AI system must be controlled at every stage of their life cycle. So, this slide highlights the four key elements required to properly evaluate an AI system. First, the use case specification defines the application domain, the task, and the decision context. Second, the model specification clarify how the model works, its assumptions, and its constraints. Third, the data specification focus on data quality, sampling, and how the data is split for training and testing. And finally, the performance specification determines how results are measured using appropriate metrics and evaluation methods. Considering these four elements together ensure a reliable and meaningful assessment of AI performance. I would like to conclude with how the Act will change this way to evaluate AI system. So basically, now I would like to, with the introduction of harmonized standards, expect for next year, AI evaluation will become much more structured, transparent, and comparable across Europe. First, developers will have to clearly describe the intended purpose of the AI system and as well as its external features. In other words, what the system is supposed to do and what it should not do. That will also be much more details about the hardware and software environments, which means that the AI system will not only be evaluated on its performance in theory, but also in its real technical conditions. Another major change concerns data management. Dataset will be standardized, split, and labeled in a consistent way, and there will be unified list of data quality criteria. This will make evaluation more reliable and reduce the risk of hidden bias or poor data practices. The AI Act also introduced standardized list of influence factors based on use case, meaning that each application domain will be evaluated according to its specific risk. In addition, the definition of robustness will evolve. Evaluation will now include feedback loop, system evolution over time, and other formal methods in some cases. Finally, evaluation metrics will be standardized. How we choose metric, compute them, and define acceptance threshold will not longer be arbitrary. So overall, AI assessments will become more scientific, more consistent, and more auditable with this new AI Act. So now that we had looked at these two regulations, to which we could have added others such as the Data Act or others those on cybersecurity, we will start talking about the different type of service that can be provided to support startups. I will hand over to Christina on the topic of support for understanding regulation.
Yes, thank you, Henry. So why Policy Lab? So first of all, Policy Lab, you can say it's a movement that's going on across Europe. It's about how can we work to achieve a better regulation? How can we work together to solve complex problems in relating to policy and legislation? So Policy Lab is about helping our customer navigate uncertainty and avoid siloed thinking. And it's also very much about including the customer in like achieving the solutions. You can take the next slide. So what is a Policy Lab? So it's a collaborative space where we all sit together and work together and explore and solve policy-related challenges. It could be about like hardcore, like real laws, but it could also be like soft laws, like a policy. How do we work together, just us in this group? We work a lot with design and design thinking, and it's also about very agile and iterative process. So it's results are co-created, and after we have done this service together, the idea is that the participant carry out the results and continue their own work. So what challenges can be addressed? So we can, for example, explore something new. René is talking about AI Act, that is new. How does it work for me and in my company and what I want to do? We can work with existing regulation, and how can we reinterpret or adapt existing legislation? Maybe there's a need for new rules, and what could that rules look like? And how can we overcome barriers between us? How can we collaborate more? How can we clarify complex issues and enable shared understanding between ourselves in the group? So go ahead, take the next. And outputs from a policy lab, well, it depends on the context and the goals, but maybe it could be like a clarified understanding of a complex issue. Let's do like this. Maybe it's a recommendation. What if we do like this all together? It could be a prototype, but we're like drafting something together. It could also be that we, during our policy lab work, we all get to know each other a lot better. And if we know each other better, the idea is that we can collaborate better with each other. And also about, after we have done the service together, it's about empowerment. So as an actor, I know what to do, and that gives me comfort. You can take the next slide. So this is my last slide. It's about a way of showing how we work with design thinking, and it's called the double diamond, and it's 2 diamonds. The first diamond to the left is about, we call the problem, and to the right, it's the solution. So at first you start with like finding out as many problems as possible, and doing that, you really need to figure out what is my real problem, and maybe you have to prioritize. So we could say that, okay, we work with these 3 problems, and then you go into the right diamond, and then you start to discussing solutions. So how do I solve these 3 problems that I have? And in the beginning, there can be many solutions to a problem, and in the end, we will end up in a solution that will best fit the current situation. And that's all from me. So back to you, René.
So now I will let Marike Unique speak about how we can test the product with legal flexibilities.
Yeah, thank you, Remy. So what is a regulatory sandbox? So a regulatory sandbox is a controlled testing environment in which companies, startups, and innovators can test and validate new technologies or solutions under real-world conditions with a certain regulation, temporary, relaxed, or modified. You can go to the next slide. Regulatory sandboxes become essential when regulations are incomplete, outdated, or still under development. Often there are no standards or certification procedures for new technologies. At the same time, innovations introduce new types of risk that regulations first need to understand. For SMEs and startups, it creates a high compliance barrier long before they even can reach the market. This is particularly relevant for the agri-food sector. Technologies like AI, IoT, robotics, and drones are evolving much faster than regulations. Sandboxes make it possible to experiment safely without having to comply with all regulatory requirements upfront. Importantly, they also generate real-world evidence that they later can inform future regulations. Agri-food TEF facilitates the setup of regulatory sandboxes, but it's not a legal authority. What we provide is the environment, infrastructure, technical expertise, test fields, and deep learning knowledge. We support companies in navigating regulatory interpretations, exceptions, mechanisms, and legal procedures. And we challenge feedback from testing activities back to regulations. In this way, AgriFoodTech acts as a bridge between innovators developing new technologies and national competent authorities shaping the regulatory framework. Next slide, please. So the first service, we offer two services. The first service focuses on regulatory and administrative support. We help companies obtain the necessary authorities and navigate complex legal and administrative procedures. This includes practical guidelines on AI Act complements and other relevant regulations. AgriFoodTech also coordinates with regulations, support their preparation of sandbox plans, and help define risk analysis and monitor procedures for companies. This means regulatory clarity early on, fewer surprises later, and much smoother path to the market entry. The second service focuses on testing and technical support. Companies gain access to realistic test environments that reflect real farming and food processing conditions. We support the technical validation of AI data and robotica-driven systems, ensuring they perform reliability and safety in practice. Crucially, we help translate test results into structured documentation that support regulatory approval, investor confidence, and commercial deployment. Together, these two services reduce time to the market, lower compliance costs, and increase the success rate of agri-food innovations. Yeah, you can go to the next slide. I will now explain a spraying and seeding drone sandbox case that took place in Belgium. So spraying and seeding drones offer major benefits for agriculture, precise application, and less soil compaction. And the availability to treat different and sensitive areas. However, in Belgium, these drones cannot be used under normal regulations because the safety rules and the restrictions and on aerial spraying, environment concerns, and the lack of clear licensing pathways. To be able innovation dispute these barriers, Belgium is using a regulatory sandbox. This sandbox creates a temporary supervised legal framework in which spraying and seeding drone can be tested safely. This allowed us to field trials, close collaborations with the authority, and systematic monitoring of environment, safety, and health effects. The sandbox generates the evidence needed to design future regulations. The authorization process followed the EU drone regulations and requires a classification of a specific category, a full SORA risk assessment and ConOps, approval for the aviation authority, and additional permits for aerial applications, environment, and airspace use. Belgium has now gained operational license and the test flights have been started to validate the spray precision safety procedures and emergency protocols. ILVO leads the sandbox, conducting the tests with the DGI AGRAS T10, T10, working on their temporary framework, implementing strict safety procedures and collecting data that will inform for future policy. All this builds on three pillars. First, trusted collaboration between companies and AgriFoodTech and regulations. Second, regulatory flexibility within a clear control boundaries. And third, scalability. So successful solutions can move from pilot to market and influence EU-level policy frameworks. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
So I will let Christophe and Andriana present some services to evaluate the product to reach standard requirements. Christophe?
Yes, I'm here. In today's presentation, I wanted to show you maybe not the very technical part of testing and using the technical standards, because our meeting is not mainly for engineers, but I wanted to show you what is the goal of testing and what is the main requirement for testing in case of agri-food theft solutions and equipment. And before we carry out the test, first of all, we have to identify the relevant EU new legislation framework directives or regulations. In our case, this is for CE marking, that is mandatory before placing the goods on European market. So here are the few examples of these new legislation framework directives that might be applicable for agri-food theft, robotic and AI solutions, because we have to keep in mind that AI is not only the software but also the hardware that is where the software is installed. Like robot itself does not exist with the software. Also, the AI, in case of robotic solutions, has to get physical form. So here are the examples. In most cases, agri-food theft equipment is electronic equipment. This is not only pure mechanical equipment, because otherwise it would be not AI or robotic solution. What we can also identify is also measuring instruments directive, radio equipment very often, because the AI solutions or robotic solutions, they communicate with the outside world via radio waves. Low voltage directive may be also of use. This is electrical safety, very often used for equipment that is plugged into mains network. In some cases, our agri-food theft solutions, there will be drones, and there is also the regulation commission regulation on drones. Very often there will be machinery regulation that was before the machinery directive before, as already mentioned by our colleague at the beginning of this workshop. Eco-design may also be of use, and some new technical aspects coming from legal aspects is Artificial Intelligence Act, as we all are aware, and Cybersecurity Act, and also in some cases packaging and packing and waste regulations. So once we have identified this new legislation framework directives and regulations, in our case, this is also the effect of our Policy Lab service for our customers. We have also find and identify harmonized standards for these regulations. Here I have given some very technical standards. The first two are on electromagnetic compatibility for machine tools that may be used for our AFT machines, and also radio equipment directive standards. Please keep in mind that radio equipment directive also covers EMC, electromagnetic compatibility requirements, essential requirements, also and the most important is effective use of spectrum, and as well electrical safety. And there are some new essential requirements related to cybersecurity. So here on the list of the standards, we may also find harmonized standards that are related to cybersecurity. I will not talk about how to carry out the test, because it's a long process, mainly in our laboratory. Some of them can be carried out also for our customers via another service, Conformity Assessment and Compliance Testing. And what is first of all, what is the main legal action for use the harmonized standards? When they are applied in full, they give so-called presumption of conformity with the essential requirement of given directives. So testing and having the standard used in full gives the presumption of conformity. So this is the easiest way to show to the external world fulfillment of requirements, and they may be used for drawing the declaration of conformity and placing CE mark on the AFT equipment. So this is the use, the goal of use of the standards in case of our, let's call it, certification process for agri-food theft equipment. Thank you.
Thank you, Christoph. Good morning, everyone. Today we are discussing the importance of certain regulations in the agri-food sector. For SMEs, the question is, how can I ensure my innovations are ready for and gain market trust? As the agri-food TEF, we support the agricultural industry by providing evaluation services. We are a network of facilities across Europe, including centers such in RAE, Agrotecnopol, the institution I represent. I'm Adriana Sanchez, and today I will show you how performing a formal evaluation based on clear standards is the best way to get your product approved in the EU, as it is a necessary step to guarantee your compliance. Bringing any innovation to the market, no, yet, please. Bringing any innovation to the market requires significant effort, and getting an autonomous agricultural robot is even more complex. Because the second you put a huge, heavy, autonomous machine in a field, let's say next to a person, you face significant uncertainty about how it works, but mainly about its safety. Here's where compliance takes place next. The reality for any European company is developing agricultural robotics is clear. Successful market entry requires compliance. European Union regulations, such as the machinery regulation, for example, require that manufacturers to self-certify their machines. So your machine requires a sort of legal password, a declaration of conformity, indicating your robot is not dangerous and is compliant with all the rules to play in the European market. In other words, it means that suggests it's safe, is reliable, and compliant with all the rules. To do this effectively, you need more than just an internal check. You need objective verified proof. And this requires collecting robust dossier and providing objective, verified evidence that the solution meets essential safety and performance standards. The next one, please. And this is where a robust third-party evaluation becomes your company's greatest asset. With our services delivered through agri-food TEF, we provide a structured approach designed to generate disproved and reinforce your compliance dossier. Our goal, is helping you gain the credibility you need, because it's a matter of safety, legal compliance, and building confidence among customers and partners. That's why we prepare two phases, desk assessment and the physical testing services. Next one, please. We all know that the real safety doesn't happen just during the field test. It starts way before that, back in the drawing board. Of course, physical testing is really important, it's essential, but it's only half of the story. A truly safe machine starts with rock solid and perfect documentation. That is why we propose this service, this desk assessment that includes two services, hazard and risk assessment and global assessment. Here, we review your internal risk analysis and system architectures to ensure that they are complete and consistent. And we make sure your design meets important safety requirements outlined in standards such as the ISO 25119. This expert review minimizes technical risk. Next one, please. The second phase is the testing. A third-party proof to complete your conformity process. Here is where our suite of testing services comes in, the physical testing. Our tests are all based in the protocols such those included in the ISO 18497. And in each case, you received a detailed technical report that is exclusive to yours and provide you the results you need to complete your compliance dossier. Next slide, please. For that, for the technical services, we have the ARPA test, better known to agricultural rover performance assessment. We have safety standardized test, and in the other hand, performance test. Those tests verify crucial safety features such as obstacle detection and safety operations, like in hard conditions, for example, in ARPA 2. And key performance metrics, including trajectory accuracy and robust positioning. Next slide, please. So if you are a company developing agro-equipment, safety systems, or innovative AI solutions, our network provides you with expertise and unique infrastructures you need to validate your product and to put it into the market. We offer comprehensive evaluation across all phases of development, and you don't have to start from the scratch. We can customize our evaluations based on the current states of your innovation. Thank you. Feel free to contact us. Remy, the floor is yours.
So yes, let me introduce you the wonderful world of certification, and especially AI certification. So basically, there are three main approaches to certification when it comes to artificial intelligence. The first one is process certification. It's a more common one. Here, we do not certify the AI itself, but the way it is developed, tested, and maintained. So the goal is to make sure the AI systems are built following controlled and reliable process. This approach is very similar to quality management systems or certification in sectors like medical devices, aviation, or automotive. The second one is product certification. In this case, the AI system itself is tested. We evaluate whether its behavior is compliant with regulation and expected performance. This approach is more concrete, but it's also more complex. And because testing AI can be expensive and highly dependent of application domain, we need also standards. It's not the case in every domain. Finally, there is also people certification. This focuses on the skill of the people who design, deploy, and use AI systems. The idea is simple. Trustworthy AI requires competent professionals at every stage of the life cycle. So certification is not only about technology, it's also about processes and people. And the main certification today is process certification and management certification. So in the agri-food TEF, we are two AI certification services we can offer at LNE. And so let me introduce these two AI certifications. So the first one is a certification on the AI management system based on ISO 42001. This is a general and organizational approach. It's focused on how your entire organization manage AI, governance, roles and responsibility, risk management, and continuous improvement. This ISO standard helps structure the AI strategy at the global level. It creates a solid frameworks to identify risks and ensure responsible use of the AI across the company. Above all, it sends a clear message. The organization takes or AI seriously and manage it in a structured way. The second service is a certification of AI processed by the LNE. It's not a mandatory certification. This is much more technical and operational approach. It focuses on how AI systems are designed, developed, and used in practice. It evaluates expertise, competencies, development practices, and operational control through the AI life cycles. So while the ISO standards look at the organization as a whole, LNE certification look inside the technical engine of your AI system and do a lot of requirement that is necessary to the AI Act assessments. The key point is that these two certifications are not in competition, they are complementary. One strengthens governance and strategy, the other strengthens technical execution. Together, they provide a complete trust framework at organization level and at technical level for AI Act assessments. Basically, one important point is that there are not imposed technical solutions. We are not forced to use a specific tools or architecture. Instead, the certification defines objectives to achieve, such as quality, control, and monitoring. Another key aspect is documentation and justification. We must be able to explain the choice and show evidence, not just what the company did, but why they did it. Communication is also essential. All stakeholders must be informed. Developers, users, managers, and sometimes even customers must be informed too. The certification also takes into account the wider ecosystem, regulation, business constraints, users, internal organization, and market expectation. And finally, everything is based on a risk-based approach. Just like the AI Act, the higher the risk, the stricter the control. So overall certification is not a checklist, it's a structured way to build trust in AI. So, and basically, to do the certification process, we are three stage. So the first stage is audit. It's to have the instruction of the application for certification. After we realize the audit on site, we can detect of non-conformities and writing the evaluation report. If they are not clear or minor non-conformity, the clients can obtain the certification. If they are major non-conformity, we redo the process we can have some need to improvement from the company before we make the audit and perhaps have the certification at the end. And during a certification process, so we have the initial audit with the certification, and after every year we have a follow-up audit, and every 3 years we have a recertification audit because the standards evolve, the product can evolve, so we need to have this certification process over the time. Yeah. So now I will give the floor to Tommaso and Brando to speak about the environmental impact of of the product through its life cycle.
Hi everyone, I am Tommaso, and today I'm here to speak about the life cycle assessment methodology as a suitable tool for compute and identify the potential environmental impact of a product, a service, or a process. As the importance of the sustainability has arisen since the 80s, starting from the economic sustainability through the energetic sustainability, and in the last decades to the environmental and the social sustainability. Also, ways of quantifying this factor have also arisen. LCA is the most widely used of them, and although originally it was developed for industrial processes, over the years, it is increasingly applied also for agri-food sectors to evaluate the potential environmental effect related to a production. This methodology is based on the study of input and output of different kinds of products to quantify the use efficiency of the resources and understand the magnitude of a process impact. Next slide, please. The life cycle assessment methodology traditionally doesn't account for the social and the economic impact, but it is limited to the energy and the environmental factors. As already mentioned, it evaluates the potential environmental impact of a product, a process, or a service, considering the whole life cycle of the product, starting from the raw materials to the disposal after the use. It is a standardized methodology regulated by ISO norms, which provided as a result an inventory of potential environmental impact indexes divided in categories. For example, the global warming potential, or human health toxicity, or ozone depletion potential, as you can see in the graph below on the left, concerning a study that we conducted during our master degree in Trentino Alto Adige in Italy on apple orchards, where we compared the environmental impact of two different training systems of the trees, the spindle bush against the guyot. The result provided by an LCA study is not limited to how much a specific product, service, or process impact, but is also concerned the identification of the hotspots of the process that have the biggest impact on the different categories of impact. As you can see always from the graph below on the right, where in our case study, the diesel consumption was by far the biggest player in all the categories of impact. Next slide, please. So to compute an LCA analysis is needed the understanding of the structure of the process under analysis. Production steps and flow of input and output of all the process are fundamental for the correct computation of the indexes. Again, next slide. Besides the structure of the process, it is important to know how to apply the LCA methodology. And the methodology is composed by 4 big steps. The first one is the goal definition. This is the phase in which it is needed to be defined in the clearest way possible the system boundaries, for example, from the cradle to the gate, and the functional unit to which all the impact values will be referred to. For example, a kilogram of the product, or a unit of the product, or 1,000 hours of working time of the machine. The second step of the methodology is the life cycle inventory, and this phase is a very important phase where we need to become like little Sherlock Holmes and collecting all the possible information about the data of inputs and outputs of both the system and the environment of all the stages that compose the process. Then comes the environmental impact assessment, which is the phase in which the data collected in the inventory are converted into indexes of environmental impact thanks to specific softwares. And finally, there is the last phase, the results interpretation, where we need to look at the output provided by the computation and identify the output of the process and compare different product impact or processes impact. Next slide, please. To conclude, it is important to say that the LCA impact analysis is a very valid and standardized methodology that allows to avoid the shift of responsibility from a stage to another or from an environmental impact to another. But on the other hand, it is always an evaluation of a potential impact, so it is not the truth. It is needed a very specific and highly knowledge of the system under analysis so that no steps are left behind. And it doesn't consider the social aspect at all, which is a very important factors. In the end, so performing an LCA analysis of the environmental impact of a product is very useful when I want to quantify this environmental impact, understanding which are the most impacting steps of the input of the system. And it comes to handy whenever I want to compare the effect that different technology solution, production system, or product could have on the environment. Also, how much you will impact after life if you click once again. Exactly, as this scientist did. So it very, very widely usable. So now I will leave the space to Mirel that will speak about the ethical consideration of the AI application. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. My name is Mireille van Hilten, and I will be speaking about ethical considerations for AI applications. And I would like to explain how we can analyze those with something we call an ELSA scan. However, there are also other types of ELSA services within the agrifood TEF network. So I'm using an example of a use case that scans images while driving through an orchard. So it's like a tree nursery, and you can imagine that there is pests or growth issues, or pruning needs to be done, or maybe targeted spraying. And in that sense, this use case or this company that will receive our service is developing AI to use that technology. And the sustainability goals of it, of course, are to use less pesticides or be able to spray more targetedly or to prune. So over to the next slide, please. And on the back end of all of that technology, in its context of the way that it's used with the end users and the growers, we have the AI company, our potential clients, that is developing this technology. And this is a continuous phase, and we want to provide this ELSA scan service as early on as possible in this development cycle, because if you can do that early on, the technology can still be changed, and factors in the surroundings or in the organization or legal aspects can still be tackled early on and easily improved. Next slide, please. So ELSA stands for ethical, legal, and social aspects, which I will show later on. But what we then do is in 3 steps, we identify what the issues and also opportunities are. Some things can already be going well or can already be tackled by the AI development company. But first, we send out a short survey to know more about the specific context of the AI technology. Then we do an interview. One of our ELSA experts will interview the company, mostly an AI development role, but we also do ELSA scans in other roles, more business roles. And like that, you can identify if there's any differences in ELSA aspects that are found. And thirdly, we have a consultation meeting, and the company also gets a report on which ELSA aspects are identified. And that looks like this. Can we go to the next slide, please? An ELSA scan then means that we do all of those 3 steps, and the outcome of that is, for example, the 5 yellow-orange thermometers that you see on the image here are ELSA aspects that we find. So, for example, transparency on the left end here. This company has decided to either include or exclude certain data points because they were not clear yet to the end user. So either they included or excluded, but they have to be transparent about what data they are using and how that impacts the decision of the end user in the orchard. So this is how the case in its setting, the AI development, and we as researchers are involved in the setting of such a potential clients. And the next step after an ELSA scan would be to organize a workshop with other roles involved in this context, for example, stakeholders like end users or policymakers, other businesses, etc. Over to the next slide, please. Which I will explain very briefly. These 23 ELSA aspects come from literature, and that is what we are actually trying to test in this setting of the service. Which of these apply? Are they positive or are they more of an issue? And that's what we bring back to the company, and they can act on that. Next slide, please. These are some examples on the right hand of ELSA concerns and how to overcome them in general. And on the left hand, you can see examples of what an AI development company can do with those. So maybe improve the AI developments themselves, involve end users, improve operations, adapt business models, look into data standards, or take legal steps. These are just some of the things that we can do afterwards. Next slide, please. And these are the same examples of ELSA aspects, just to maybe understand what ELSA aspects we can find in the services. That's my timer. And these are specifically for generative AI. So they haven't been tested. These are theoretical, but you can imagine privacy is an ethical issue that you can run into in relation to Gen AI. And I'll leave the rest of them for you to review on your own. Can we go to the final slide, please? Yes, and this is a list of other ELSA TEF services that we have, including the link where you can look those up. And some of them are more legally oriented and some of them are more policy lab oriented. So I hope to have provided a bit of an overview and that you now see what ethical concerns can arise from typical ELSA scan service. Thank you very much. Back to you.
So thank you for attending this webinar. We cover a wide range of topics, so please don't hesitate to contact us for more information, as we were only able to scratch the surface in 1 hour. If you have any question, we have a few minutes to answer them. If there is no question, thank you very much. And you can visit our website, agrifoodtef.eu. Thank you very much.